Okay, so there's a few very basic things. First of all, the computer you're using. It's very easy to be at a friend's house and say, let me use your computer, or something like that. Don't do it. You want to use a known good computer that's been updated, has current virus protection, has all of the software things are updated. You want to make sure that you're not using even your own computer at Starbucks or some other cafe or open Wi-Fi. You want to make sure that it's a trusted point where you're at. If you do use them in places like that, then you want to do things like VPN, a virtual private network, or something like that. That's kind of like the expert level. You want to also make sure that at the expert level, you want to make sure that all the crypto services on your computer are up to date. All the certificates have been updated. If you're using a Microsoft operating system, that gets done automatically. They update those all the time. So that's the first thing. Then there's your own shopping behavior. You want to be careful about the shopper. You want to buy from those you know. You don't be typing something into Google and saying, yeah, that's what I want, and just jumping on it immediately. Usually Google vets the results pretty good, but you can't be sure. Things turn around really, really fast. So going to a company you've never heard of to buy a brand name product that looks too good to be true, likely it is too good to be true. So you want to look for the lock icon that will be either in the bottom of the browser or up in the top of the browser, and that the URL says something like HTTP or HTTPS, so that you know that you're using a secure socket layer protection. It's a kind of crypto that they use. You want to be aware of the fraud protection on your credit card. So some credit cards have better fraud protection than other credit cards, and some debit cards have no fraud protection. So they could take all your money out of it if you did it in a bad spot, and you'd have no way to get that money back. There's two places that the shopping experience kind of goes awry. The first place is the shopper. The second place is also the shopping environment. When you think about it, you use your computer a lot of times, the browser, but there's now also applications that are on like iPhones and tablets and things like that. You need to be careful of those, because what happens a lot of times is that people will say, well, there's this great app, go buy this, and you can still trade with different groups. Well, that's not necessarily the best thing. You don't know where the application came from. If it's an Android application, about anybody can put something in the Android store. Even with the Apple Store for iPhones and things like that, you can end up with issues. The expert level there for protecting yourself is the buy or obtain through your bank a one-time use credit card. If you do that, then you're pretty much safe. You may lose whatever the value of the credit card is, but you won't lose everything. When you're looking at the stores that you're going to, be sure to look at the URL. There's a common fraud technique, and we know that from all kinds of stories that have been done in the media, and most people have had at least some experience. There's things like phishing emails. Well, during the holiday season is a time when phishing actually takes an upturn, because I can send you an email that you expect to receive from a retailer that has a link to special buy it now prices, and you click on the link, but it actually didn't come from your retailer, it came from a third party. You want to be very, very careful of things that you click on in emails that come in. It's really, really important. A lot of websites require you to use passwords. So if you're going to use a password, don't use the same password on all your e-commerce sites. Kind of the same thing we've been telling people for years, but you've got to be really, really careful. The other thing about that is that you want to be able to look and say, if you do get an email from somebody, copy the link, make sure it makes sense. If the link goes to 3 different places, don't put that in there and say, I copied the link and I'm good to go. The other one is getting offers on well-known products from people that you've never heard of. And when you do see that, you have to be a little suspicious of how they came in. There's a lot of things that go on with social media. They'll track you in social media and say, oh, I see this person's involved with this or likes this product. Here's their email because we've harvested that. It's very easy for the bad guys to put these things together and come after you and target you for specific things they think that you would be doing. Another form of tracking that's been happening is something called super cookies, which are flash-based cookies. So you go to one website and we see your credentials going to that website, and the cookie keeps those credentials. You go to another hostile website and they're able to break those out of there. Those are kind of the major things that we look at in dealing with it. So those are the best practices, if you would say. So that, break them down, use a safe, sane computer that you know is good. Make sure that it's got virus protection and all the updates. When you're shopping, be aware of where you're shopping and don't go places shopping that you wouldn't normally go. Make sure when you're shopping that you use a form of payment that is not going to be easily or readily exploited by the bad guys. If your computer's not safe, they can get in through keyloggers, they can get in through malware, they can do a lot of things. If you go to the wrong places in the first place, that can be really bad. And that's kind of the major ways I look at it.
Some simple tips, would that just be, you know, like you said, staying at home rather than open Wi-Fi and deleting your cookies after, or?
Well, you know, you have to be, you know, we say deleting your cookies is always a good idea, especially when you're dealing with some of the websites that you're going to. But the other thing about it is that if you just follow the basic principles, no matter what you do, if you do everything right, it can still go awry. So you want to be sure that you use payment types that are not going to be exploitable. But yes, use a good computer that's safe and clean, known. Don't do things in environments where you can't control it. Understand that anytime you're on a Wi-Fi that's public, you can be exploited. There's lots and lots of hacks against that. And that the other thing is that the reason bad guys go for what you're doing in sales and things like that is because that's where the money is. They're looking for you when you are wanting to spend money to exploit you. And the final thing, the big thing is that I see this all the time. Every year we do stories and see stories about people get all these Amazon packages arriving and it says in big bar letters, Amazon on it. That's the good stuff. Don't leave it out on your porch for a long period of time. You know, people say, I got hacked. You didn't get hacked. It got stolen off your porch while you were at work.